Good morning, everyone. Good morning. So it is great to be here. A special thank you, Phil, for inviting me. It feels great to be here. This is my first, thank you very much. This is my first experience at a Barrett Values conference, and I'm loving it. I'm feeling renewal, much needed renewal. And one thing that we've all learned, and Pedro has helped us remember, is it's all about feelings, right? I wanted to thank the Barrett Values team, and you have just done an incredible job of taking care of us, and also Phil, too. I'm glad that we just honored Phil. I met Phil 1 year ago, and what a special guy. It's like I get emails from Phil after we meet and connected, and it's love Phil. It's like a CEO. Who's a CEO that signs love Phil after meeting a couple times? So thank you for what you bring to the world, Phil. I have a huge amount of self-doubt. So, I don't know if other people deal with this. And Annalise said, before her talks, she talks a lot and she gets nervous. And, it's like last night I can't sleep. And it reminded me of the days when I spent a short amount of time in corporate, but a global company. And I remember how uptight I would get before meetings and like before phone calls with the boss, and when the bosses would be on speakerphone and you'd be on the call. And I'd get so nervous, and I'd think, well, what are they going to do? They're not going to hit me. They're not going to hurt me. And last night I can't sleep. I'm thinking, what are they going to do? Throw rocks at me? Well, I also want to say thank you, because BVC consultants make possible a Barrett Fund. And our work in Haiti has benefited from Barrett Fund through a generous grant that was given in the month of December. So you'll hear a little bit about what you're helping to make possible. So thank you for being involved in the work, even if it's indirect. I'm going to share my story, but before I do, I want to share a little dialogue that my wife and I recently had with our two children, Daniel and Layla, who are 6 and 8. And dialogue is a big part of our practice in my work and with my family. But I suspect that sharing this story is more about me missing them than about sharing the practice. So we were getting questions. We were getting questions about where do babies come from. And we finally allocated some time to go back behind the house, sit at the picnic table, talk about this, and we explained the whole thing in detail to Daniel and Layla, and they're sitting there wide-eyed, and Daniel says with a big smile, "Oh, so you've done it 2 times." and Layla says, "Cool, I want to do it 100 times." And I try not to show my shock. It's like, Layla, what do you mean? And she says, "I love babies." So, I'll be home Sunday. I've talked with a number of people, a number of you, that either now or in the past, you have been involved in big, new, exciting projects. And, I hear the stories, and I feel like, because I'm involved in a big, new, exciting project, and I am scared. I felt like as I was preparing for this message, this was as much of self-therapy as it was bringing a message. So I want to just invite you to take 3 minutes, team up with a partner, share if you are involved currently with a big, new, exciting project, or when you have been in the past, just share briefly, and then why. In a sense, when we undertake a big, new, exciting project, it is a huge risk of failure, risk of defeat. So just share why you would be willing to do that. So go ahead, just 3 minutes each, please. It's amazing how common, that's what Brent was just saying, how the language of soul has become commonplace in corporate. So Richard, thank you. Well, that's super helpful. Again, I'm involved, which I share it in a number of big new things. In fact, Annalise commented that she said, "So what do? You look like you write books." And I says, "I don't even read books." I read emails, reports, proposals, and plans, an article here and there. But maybe there's seasons in my life when I have. This is a season when I don't. There might be seasons in the future, I hope. But so I frequently get asked the question, as an American, I've been living in Haiti for most of 23 years. I frequently get answered the question is, how'd you end up doing this work in Haiti? And my quick answer is, it was a search for meaning. So you're going to hear the longer answer today. But before I get into kind of the history, I just want to share a bit about the evolution of the work and how we got started with doing what we were doing and how it's evolved. I moved to Haiti in 1991 with a small organization. It was a 2-year commitment, and we were financing, giving grants to schools and literacy programs. And one of the things that we quickly discovered, and whenever I say we, it's going to be, I'm talking about a combination of other expats and also Haitian colleagues. So we quickly discovered that this is a challenging situation because we want to respect the autonomy of the organizations that we're supporting. At the same time, there's things that are happening that we cannot support. So hitting children in a classroom, sometimes for as simple as having the wrong answer or coming to class late, we can't support that. What do we do about this? Or just extreme dictatorial practice by school directors and community leaders that is, we don't know what to do. So basically, we did some research. We knew that what we would have to do is invite our Haitian colleagues into a spirit of experimentation. Hopefully they would respond, and then we'd have to try to create conditions where they would live a different type of experience. Because of Haiti's history of the colonial, the legacy of slavery, it has been stuck in time. So it's the way that authority is handled by anyone who has authority is just extreme top down. So our research, we discovered, this was in the early 90s, open space technology. And how many are familiar with open space? Perhaps everyone. We discovered open space technology, and we discovered another method called touchstones discussions, which is used widely in the US, and in recent 10 years it's been in a number of other countries as well. but it's a simple process where the role of the teacher changes dramatically one time a week for about 45 minutes, from that of being an instructor to that of being a very skilled discussion facilitator, where it's never the teacher's, or I say never, rarely is in that role should the teacher be asking questions. The teacher should be facilitating and teasing out what are your questions that you want to discuss together. And over a process of time, a group that's evolving, evidence of an evolving group in Touchstone's discussion, you will have everyone sees themselves as both a participant and a group leader, and you will have somebody that might be noticing someone that wants to say something, that has some body language, and stops somebody else just to say, I think this, did you want to say something? Because sometimes in group dynamics, we know that there's a lot of people that are very comfortable with their voice all the time. There's also a lot of people that aren't comfortable at all, and they need the encouragement of someone. So we put these methods together and began piloting them, creating material in Haitian Creole, developed a 6-month training program. I say training isn't really a good word. It's experiential learning, where 2 Haitian facilitators would work with a group of 15 to 30 Haitians who were educators, community leaders, over a course of 6 months. They would meet, spend 1.5 hours a week on this, because normally that's what they would have available. It also is a short enough time where you don't have to provide meals, because once you have a program where you have to provide meals, it just gets a lot more expensive. And then during the course of these weekly sessions over 6 months, they would also plan and realize 2 to 3 open space meetings. So we just found it incredibly effective in, at helping Haitians to discover another way of being in families, in the classroom, in organizations. And this was my focus for nearly 15 years. I had other activities too, but this was a big part of it. And so, and we had the opportunity to take more than 10,000 people, 10,000 Haitians, through what we called circles of change. So now, you talk about how things evolve, and it's difficult to know where life might lead you as we continually experiment in searching for meaning. Now I find myself where we're involved in schools and doing our own school. We're involved in composting toilets. We're involved in poultry businesses, construction, a bakery, entrepreneurship training. So it's in the last 5 years, we have taken, and we had a tremendous amount of social capital. And we have taken that, and with partnerships and opportunities, it's just expanded dramatically. And frankly, again, I'm dealing with a lot of fear, because the stakes are so much higher than what they were before. And so that's where I am. So I want to share a little bit about my personal story, again, how this American ended up working in Haiti. And it starts off at, some people from the US might know Hershey, Pennsylvania. So it's a little town in Hershey, Pennsylvania, known for chocolate. That's where I was born and raised. And I had 4 siblings, and I was the second oldest son, and I had a father who was an entrepreneur. And one of the things that I'll always remember about my father is his employees loved him, and I had a loving mother, so I had a very good childhood. Excuse me? Oh, right there. So, but I was beginning to get exposed to the experiences that made me realize I lived in a bubble. And one of them was when the Vietnam War ended in 1975, and there were all these Vietnamese refugees. We had a 21-year-old man and his 19-year-old sister come live with us for several years and help them to create a new life. And I just remember hearing their stories of war and tragedy, and it would break my heart and haunt me. And I also, and this is when I'm 12, 13 years old, I also ended up picking up books, reading about Idi Amin in Uganda, and reading about stories of poverty and drugs in inner cities in the U.S. So I was becoming sensitive to suffering around the world. And then things started to change. So yeah, into my teens, and the formula became different. It was satisfaction equaled adventure, drugs, and money. And I had a bit of a crazy time, and I worked 2 to 3 jobs all through high school. Usually only went to school, was not interested at all in academics, so that I could make money to support my motorcycles and other habits. And travel, which included travel. And by the time I finished high school, I'd crossed the country a couple times on my old Harley. And then I finished school, and I didn't really have a plan. I went on a long hitchhiking trip, and I hitchhiked from East Coast to West Coast, up to Canada, back down through, up to Alaska, back down through Canada by myself, and I just had a tremendous amount of time, both in nature and by myself, and these questions were emerging. Who was I? What's my purpose? What's life all about? Why am I here? Again, I get sidetracked. And I didn't heed the call then, but it was still with me. But there were some business opportunities when I got back, and I ended up spending seven years in business, and had a relatively financially comfortable life. And at the same time, my soul was dry. And finally, I heeded the call, and I made a 2-year commitment to Haiti to work with this organization, a nonprofit that was supporting education, not knowing if it would be a new life direction or if it would just be a 2 years. I made arrangements, the company I was working for, I could go back to my job if I wanted. But when I was there, I learned the history of this country, a country that was enslaved. First it was genocide. There was genocide. Then after that, it was a colony of France, and up to 750,000 Africans were brought to this country. It was turned into a factory of exploiting the riches and sending them back to the mother country. And it's said that it was up to 750,000 slaves to roughly 30,000 of the colonizers, and to maintain control, public torture was a regular basis, all kinds of measures to break down the family, in a sense, minimalize the role of the man in the family. So in a sense, what we're living today in Haiti, I believe largely is as a result of a nation that's in trauma, that was born in exploitation, violence, and brutality. But I found this so compelling. I ended up, I lived in Port-au-Prince for a couple years and got burnt out. It's just a rough city, and I didn't grow up in the city. I built a little house up in the mountains just south of Port-au-Prince. Lived there for 8 years, a latrine, no running water. Most of the time, no electricity. I used public transportation. It was just a very, very compelling experience. Learned to speak Haitian Creole fluently and learning about the culture. And again, this struggle. And even 7 months after I arrived in Haiti, it was just after the first truly democratic elections, and 7 months after there was a violent coup, and 3,000 people were killed within months. Innocent people were killed. So I was watching this, and I was drawing inspiration from Haitians who were up against incredible odds but weren't giving up. So for me, it was just an incredible source of meaning, and I ended up basically making a life commitment to Haiti. So the summary of our work and what we're focused on is helping Haitians to change Haiti through education. And so we have 6 partner schools. Haiti Partners is actually a spin-off from another organization that I had co-founded back in '93. And we began very focused on the schools. Also working with churches. There's child servitude all throughout Haiti, and we're helping to mobilize churches to work against that. And then we work with other organizations in circles of change and with open space, and these are examples of some of the organizations that we've been in partnership in one form or another. But this project that we began in September, the discussions and community meetings, has completely captured my heart. Children's Academy and Learning Center. So this is a school that we started in September 2012. In this September, there will be 60 children. We'll be taking in 60 additional children every year, and it will become a school that has as many as 1,000, nearly 1,000 students. So it's part of the big vision. It's part of the thing that is scary because it's a huge undertaking. It's a place of joy. For us, a vision of a school is, in addition to it being a place where children are discovering their potential and being put on track to be able to find or create meaningful employment and be active citizens, it's also a place of lifelong learning, community development. And so again, composting toilets, community gardens, it's all things that the parents can learn about and then do in their home. We have monthly community meetings that can have anywhere from just open meetings, open discussion like Annalise talked about, where there can be 70 to 250 people there. The community is completely engaged. So this is part of the campus of 3 acres that we have purchased that we'll be building out and building every couple of years an additional building. And the other piece of the model that we're working on is in Haiti, the educational situation is extremely dire. So of a country of 10 million people, 50% of school-age children don't go to school. Of the schools that they're going to, only 10% receive any government support. The rest of them are basically schools where parents are paying some tuition. It's not enough to pay teachers' salaries. It's not enough for materials. So without funds, how can we improve education? What we're working in partnership with Unisocial Business, and that's the current Prime Minister of Haiti, is to create social businesses where the legal status is a cooperative. We have a representative on the board of directors, and then the schools and their leadership teams have representatives on the board of directors. And the purpose is not only to generate funds that can help to cover operating budgets, but that they can also help to create a can-do spirit, an entrepreneurial spirit. So currently this is a building that the first floor will be done and functioning as a bakery. The plan is to have it done and functioning as a bakery by August. The second floor is a training center. The third floor is a guest house. We're actually employing parents of the students of the school in construction. Not all of them are, but many of them, people in the community who are learning from another organization, earthquake-resistant construction. The 2 poultry businesses that, as I was sharing, we've gotten involved with. So we have capacity for about 10,000 chickens now to help generate a profit to cover school operating budgets. And then we have Colleen here. For me, I'm obsessed with thinking about the future and the children. To me, in terms of building a culture or a values-based society, I need to be working with children. I need to be working with that because there are so many things in Haiti and the culture that is so entrenched that I think it needs to start very early. And this little girl, for so many, during her first year, you would never see her smile. Now this is her face every day during the second year. So I am grateful. We as an organization just went through the cultural assessment with a certified BVC consultant, and it was a wonderful experience. My colleagues and I, Haitian and American board members, have all become believers. So we're new in this journey. This was only a couple months ago, but very much committed to it. I want to share, in parting, I want to share a favorite quote that has meant a lot to me for nearly 30 years, and some of you may be familiar with it. But it was a quote of Theodore Roosevelt, former president of the US, at Sorbonne University in 1911. It's not the critic that counts. It's not the person who points out how the strong man stumbled or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the person who's in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, who does strive to do the deed and knows the great enthusiasm, the great devotion, and invests himself in a worthy cause. And at the best, in the end, knowing the triumph of high achievement. And at the worst, if he fails, at least he fails while daring greatly. So may we dare greatly. Thank you. Thank you. And come visit.